Thank you very much, and thank you for your thanks. So, some questions to run after this beautiful work and comparative work, difficult comparative work. Yeah, please. Brigitte.
The reason we've and 7, the shoulder joint.
The shoulder is very fragmentary. I think Lee Berger can say more about that because he did his PhD thesis on it. Yeah. Yes, in terms of size, it's very similar, but STS7 is very fragmentary, but very similar to Littlefoot.
Thank you. Yeah. Michel.
A phenomenal piece of extraction. I praise you wholeheartedly for your dedication and skill in doing that. My question concerns Olduvai. As you take OH24 out of habilis, how much is left?
How much is left in habilis?
Of habilis.
Oh, well, the type specimen, Olduvai hominid 7, the maxilla OH65, the crushed skull OH16, then from Lake Turkana, the 1470 cranium, and a couple of others from there. So there are plenty left in.
Okay, so it's still a valid taxon. It's still a valid taxon.
It's a valid taxon. Oh yes, Homo habilis is a valid taxon.
Okay.
But those smaller brain specimens got in really. It's a matter of history. Lewis wanted from the 1920s to find the oldest Homo. And as many of you probably know, when Mary found Zinjanthropus, Lewis thought that was in the direct line of modern man. And he even suggested the name Titano Homo mirabilis for it. And then when his son Jonathan found the parietals and mandible of OH7, he said, oh no, this is the real Homo, and Zinjanthropus or Paranthropus boise is a side branch. But then other things which were not obviously Paranthropus from Olduvai Gorge, Lewis also put into Homo. Philip Tobias went along with that. Now, I've actually published the history of this in a nice publication that I can send you that for a conference I went to in Spain. I've called it Homo habilis, the inside story. Have you not seen that?
No.
Oh, well, it's interesting because it explains Philip Tobias's thinking at the time and why he was persuaded to put everything into Homo habilis. But if you read the initial paper on OH24 by Leakey, Clark, and Leakey, it does not say it's Homo habilis. Lewis thought it was early Homo, and I, being young and working for Lewis, of course, went along with that on the paper. But subsequently, I realized, no, this is not correct. This is no different to Australopithecus africanus.
Okay. If we switch now back to South Africa, how many Australopithecine taxa do you recognize? Is it just now Africanus and Prometheus?
No, there are others. Of course, there's Sediba in South Africa or in Africa?
Around that time, man. Around 3.6.
The old ones. Well, there is Prometheus. There is early Afarensis. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's not a question, Ron. I visit you in Stegfontein several times. Maybe you remember. You did there a wonderful work, a great work, a long work, doing, at least from the beginning, around 3 decades. So it's a lot. And I want to tell you here today that I'm sure that Broom and Philip Tobias are proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know that I was giving the chair to 3 people at the same time. So next, any other question? Was it again?
Sorry, but I mean, it's so challenging. I was very interested in your talk. Because when you put OH24, you say it's no more Homo habilis. Why not? But there is a fossil which has been forgotten for many, many, many years, OH62, which actually was considered as a skeleton of Homo habilis by Johansen and co-authors. And I wrote a short note in 1980-something, saying for me it was probably a gracile form of Australopithecus in East Africa, not an Homo habilis. So it's very important because we may have actually now evidence of another Africanus somewhere else outside South Africa. So for the diversity of systematics of hominids, I think it's very important to reconsider this source fossil as well. I don't know, would you have any comment of OH62?
Is certainly an A. africanus. And the reason that Johansen, Kimball and co. put it into Homo habilis was because it compares very well with STW53. And the reason STW53 was put into Homo habilis was because Philip Tobias thought it compared very well with OH24. And also, Philip thought it was associated with stone tools. Now, that's no reason to call something Homo just because it's found with stone tools, because we also find ostrich with stone tools, but we don't say they made them. Anyway, that was Philip's reasoning, but one thing leads to another, and so OH62 was put into Homo habilis by Kimball and by Johansen and Kimball, but it's not. It is very, very similar to STW53, which was not incidentally found with stone tools. It comes from a separate breccia. It comes from member 4, which is adjacent to the stone tool bearing horizon.
Yes, just to confuse the situation a little bit more, I would just like to remind that our colleague Bernard Wood would put the whole eponyme of Homo habilis into Australopithecus, in particular based on the body proportion of OH62.
Who put?
Bernard Wood.
Oh, Bernard Wood, yeah. Which did he put into Homo habilis?
Well, basically he argued for years now.
Yeah.
Then the most primitive forms of, Homo that has been assigned to Homo is in fact Australopithecus from, I think, as an evolutionary grade, probably more than from a cladistic point of view, but it would fit. And I mean, one of the arguments he has used is the body proportion of OH62.
Yes, you see, the problem is that people don't go back to the type specimen. The type specimen of Homo habilis is OH7, and people should compare their fossils with that, not compare them with others that Louis Leakey and Philip Tobias lumped into habilis. And if you compare 1470 with the type specimen, it matches. The parietals match beautifully. If you compare those smaller brain things like OH13 and KNMER 1813, if you compare them with the type specimen, they don't match. They were smaller brained. And yet Bernard Wood maintains that the 1470 is a different species, Homo rudolfensis, and that the smaller brain things are Homo habilis. That's the wrong way of thinking. He's got it back to front. He should have gone to the type specimen and compared it with that.
If I may add one more sentence, in a recent re-examination of H7 by my colleagues Fred Spoor and Philip Gunz and some others, they have argued, first of all, that there is a difference between these two taxa, Homo rudolfensis and Homo habilis, and also that in terms of brain size, in fact, all these taxa of early Homo, including Homo habilis, Homo rudolfensis, and Homo ergaster/erectus, have rather similar brain size, in fact, and so that's the difference is more in terms of masticatory systems and dentition than anything else.
Well, we will come back to this difficult question of systematics, otherwise we would spend 2 days talking about Africanus or Australopithecus or Homo or Australopithecus. Well, we will come back anyway to these terrible problems.
But we should remember that John Robinson in 1972 put Australopithecus africanus into Homo anyway.
Yes. Well, thank you very much anyway. Thank you to Clark, monsieur, to Ron Clark, and thank you to everybody to have developed this fantastic question of, starting for your beautiful skeleton.